Welcome back to Coast Files, our podcast for ocean mysteries and true crime. I'm Chantel.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Megan.
Hello again. It's been 30 minutes since I've seen you guys last.
It's been one egg salad sandwich later.
Yep.
Oh, according to our listeners, it's been a week and Megan is still just eating egg salad sandwiches.
It didn't taste good. Should I be
Yes.
worried?
Yes. We might look the same as last week. At least I do.
Totally
because
different.
It is the same day. I don't wear the same
It
clothes.
is.
No,
all
it's
the
not. I
time,
mean,
but-
Chantel has a different shirt on. So
I
yeah,
got
it's
cold
Chantel-
because actually I have the
Totally
same
a
tank top on. I just got
Yeah.
cold because I have the air conditioner on because it is 40 fucking degrees here. Fahrenheit,
Yeah,
which
we're
is
in the
what?
same
Or Celsius, I
heat
mean.
wave.
100 degrees
40
Celsius.
Celsius. Oh, in Fahrenheit, it would be
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, 100. Yeah.
100 degrees Celsius, we're all dead. The earth is dead. Sorry. 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh God, I
boy.
can't figure these out.
No,
I think
never
Lindsay's
will.
looking it up for us right
Yeah.
now.
Well, I was just looking for my. It says 32, but feels like hotter. So
Yeah, that's essentially what it's doing here. So it's that. And then we're going to get like all these warm thunder showers. We had one yesterday morning. There's more coming today. There's going to be some for while you're here, Lindsay, all weekend.
thunder
just some nice
showers.
thunder,
Good for
heat thunder
scary
showers.
movies.
I love
Ooh.
thunderstorms so much. Like, I know I'm not the only person.
Yeah.
They're so calming, and then it's just like, wow, the world is intense.
When
but I
I'm
like
writing
it.
my
Yeah.
notes, I literally listen to rainforest.
Oh
That's
my
what I
god, the
need to
sound
just
of rain
nice.
hitting
in.
treetops and leaves is just so
Yeah.
calming. That and
Yeah.
waves, which is like good for the podcast.
We have
obviously.
sound machines, a few of them now because of children, and they're so relaxing now. Like Eric and I like to have a sound machine at night too.
Oh, I love it.
Gentle
Oh, yeah.
rain. Yeah.
I
was,
need to get Vadim on that. He sleeps with earplugs in and is like, the fan is too loud even with my earplugs in. And I'm like,
He needs to just
background
embrace.
noise.
Yeah.
Embrace the noise. Let it calm you to sleep.
So I was
Oh.
at Megan's bachelorette, which was a couple of years ago now, and Mel and I were sharing a room, and I snore. Sorry, not perfect. Chantel has short pinkies. I snore, not all the time, but like enough that it happens, and I warn people. So we were sharing a room, and she had a noise machine that she likes to use, like a lot of us do. And so she was like, "Okay, ready for bed." She set it up, and it's like the jungle was inside the room with us. And it
Just
was
a
just like
banshee screaming in the
she
background.
just cranked it up, and like I hadn't even started to snore, and it was like I was in the jungle, like for real. I think I slept, but I remember just like, holy shit, like I know that I snore, but this is loud. But
Yeah.
that was like her normal tone. Anyway, just a funny memory of like
I think the hardest part about sleeping next to you, Megan, is more that you run so warm that I'm like,
I'm hot. Yeah.
yeah, you're very hot. Yeah,
Don't
you
ever
are.
buy me PJ sets. They have no use for me.
Yeah.
Don't.
I don't think
do
PJ
it.
sets have uses for any of us except for literally
I
walking around
don't-
the house in.
Yeah, I don't own any PJ sets. I sleep
Like I wake up
And-
and then put on PJs. I
PJ
don't-
yeah.
under PJ shorts. I'm okay with those are fine,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Maybe
if
full
I'm,
like, in
pants and
someone
like a
else's
shirt. Like
house.
I'm like, how do you put on all those clothes and get into bed and sleep comfortably? Like I
So
No,
can't
never.
imagine.
So there are some times like at the bungalow for sure where like not so much now, but when I was a kid, you'd go in the winter and it'd be so cold that you would wear like socks, sweatpants, and a sweater. And something about being so cold with the layers is like the coziest sleep of your entire life.
I wear clothes to bed when I'm camping because it's colder. Because you're
camping.
even in the
Yeah, and probably
summertime, you're
bugs
still a
and
little
stuff.
warm. Oh, I mean
Yeah.
cold. Yeah. Seriously, bugs. You don't want this in your clothes to bed.
However, if there's some kind of PJ brand listening, well,
Yeah.
I still have like
We'd still wear them
stickers.
around the house.
Yeah,
If
for like
you have PJs that are temperature friendly, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Or
maybe some
just-
sort of
just-
wicking material.
or you
Yeah.
wake up and then you put them on to be around people.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Until
do like
then, it's
lounge clothes. Lounge clothes, I'm all about. I just
Different.
don't
I live in
necessarily
lounge
wear them
clothes.
in my bed. Yeah.
It's the perfect type of clothes.
I know.
Anyways, now that we're off of our PJ rant, let's get into today, shall we, ladies?
I'm going in
We'll
totally
segue
blind.
right into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know that we're normally ocean mysteries podcast, but I'm gonna do a lake body of water here.
If I can do haunted dolls, we can
Yeah.
give you
I
lake.
figured.
Okay?
I
I'm gonna
figured we
eventually
could let
do
lake.
Chicago River stuff
Yes,
too.
yes.
So we're
100%.
gonna,
Yeah.
I'm just joking
And I think that
here.
that's what we were going for, and our listeners appreciate the breadth of topics. And I
Mhm.
think that we
Yeah.
gave an umbrella, which means that
Mhm.
if it's anything kind of like weird,
if a drop of water happens,
Yeah.
we can cover it.
it's in.
I like it. I like it. It rained on the day of this murder. So
So-
it's totally tied in with the true
And, and also
crime.
too, based on your photos, it is in Russia. Russia's next to an ocean.
A lot of water.
Also, this
So-
water, I can already tell from your map, Chantel, that it eventually connects to the ocean. Looks like there are rivers.
There are some. Yes. We are going to get into all
Eventually
of that today.
connects.
So
Just
yeah,
the water's
exactly.
But
It's
I
fed.
don't
It's fed.
think I don't think our listeners give a shit. I think that
No,
they
not
think
not
that
one
all,
shit at
all
all.
the
They're like,
topics
is
that
it
we pick are
interesting?
cool.
Our
That's
one
all I need to know.
pirate captain listeners very pissed off that it's not about the ocean today, but
or that one guy. I mean, we've had a couple trolls on the shorts, so we're just like, wow, women. So
Yeah.
no matter what we pick,
Yeah.
it's
they're
like, way to
not
not
happy.
mention this. I'm like, actually, we went into
Actually,
great
yeah.
detail. So
Oh, and
if
then
you
someone-
listen to the episode,
Then someone
Yeah.
deleted their comment because the women scolded him.
how dare we?
yeah. Can't take the
anyways,
heat. Don't play
yeah.
with fire.
There we go. Oh, we got a child in the background. Today, we are going to talk about the amazing and mysterious Lake Baikal, which is a World Heritage Site.
Oh,
And we kind of discussed this before, but neither of you have really heard about this before, obviously.
Never.
based on the photos, no. I mean,
you're-
you'll keep talking, but I don't think so.
You're
Yeah.
in for a treat, I'll tell you that
I'm
much.
excited.
Ooh.
It's not even my birthday yet.
So the first photo there is just kind of gives you a little bit of a map there. Lake Baikal, which means Lake of Nature in Mongolian, is
Oh.
located in Siberia, Russia, and is called a rift lake. This means that it was created because there were fault zones that were moving, and that's how this lake was created. They think it started as like a river. What's crazy is that the area is still pulling apart because it sees about 2,000 minor to moderate earthquakes per year, widening it by about 4 millimeters per year. They're thinking that one day it might
weird.
actually be an ocean. This means
as in like one day,
4
like, way
millimeters
down
per
the
year.
road.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not too concerned.
oh, just wait.
In our life.
Yeah, I mean the big earthquakes that happen obviously move it a little bit more, but those only happen
Yeah.
about once a decade.
And this is moving apart like this way,
yeah,
like
so
away from each other.
widening.
Okay.
Yeah. So this also means that it has hot springs that occur in and around this lake, which we get into. So the second photo there is just a little bit more of a close-up so you can see kind of how big this lake is. So it's the 7th largest lake by surface area at 640 kilometers, so around 400 miles long, and is in this crescent shape. It's twice the length of Lake Ontario, but only about a third is wide.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's-
the crescent makes total sense. Like
Mhm.
looking at the photo.
It's the world's largest freshwater lake by volume, and it contains roughly
so it's deep.
23% of the world's fresh water.
What? Oh, that's
more than
wild.
all of the Great Lakes combined. And it has enough water to fill 9 billion Olympic swimming pools.
That's
and-
insane.
Billion. Oh my gosh. So it must be
Billion.
really deep, right?
Oh,
as well?
yes.
Yeah,
So,
because volume. Right?
It's the
Wow.
oldest lake on Earth. Can you
Okay.
guys guess how old it is?
Okay. Well,
Uh,
Jesus Christ was born year 0, so
50 million years.
It's a little younger than that,
Oh, okay.
but not by much.
47.
It's between 25 to 30 million years old, meaning
You're
it's the
close.
oldest lake in geological history.
That's
To keep up with the Great
insane.
Lakes comparison, they're only about 15,000 years old.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Why is Canada such a little baby?
it's all, yeah, the USA
Wow.
is a baby.
Yeah.
Um,
Holy moly.
So, as you guys were alluding to, it must be deep because it contains so much water. Well, it reaches an astounding 1,642 meters, so 5,387 feet, or about 760 and a half shacks. So,
Thank God Shaq came back.
thank God. The top of this is the very top of the lake water is 456 meters above sea level because it's situated in the mountains. So if you go to photo number 3 there, it gives you a comparison of the
Yeah.
lakes.
This
So it's
photo is
4
wild.
times as deep as Lake Superior, which is the deepest lake. Otherwise, it's the second deepest lake. So 4
And it's-
times.
Yeah, it's like nothing
Wow.
compared.
But that's
Yeah.
not all. Due to the sediment that it gets, because it's fed by roughly 330 rivers,
A lot
there
of
is about
rivers.
8 to 11 kilometers, 5 to 7 miles of sediment at the lowest point that go even deeper down. So that means that if we
Oh.
actually get to the bottom of the sediment, it's possibly deeper than Mariana's Trench.
No, hold on. That's insane.
Yes.
I mean, it would have to go crazy deep to get close to that, though, right?
Yes. Yeah.
but you-
So
and
so
also,
if you're
it's
already
really
like
high, it's really, really high elevation too.
We'd have to think it's 30,000 feet of sediment, pretty much.
well,
to
they're
match
saying 8
Mariana's
to 11
Trench.
kilometers, 8 to 11 kilometers of just
Holy
sediment
crap.
after you're already like 16.
Is this just a guess they have based off?
It's based off of like some studies that they've done of it and knowing that it's fed. Because if you guys remember,
Right.
the whole point of Mariana Trench and the reasons why it's so deep is because it's not fed by any rivers. So there is no
Okay.
sediment that builds up. Where this is fed by so many rivers, there is sediment that is settling at the
Mhm.
bottom. So the actual bottom of it is deeper because of this sediment, but it's just not where the water lays, basically.
Yeah, it's probably pretty hard to try to find out.
Yes, exactly. There would have to be a lot of digging to be done there.
Yeah.
Of like sludge.
Yes.
Not fun.
So as we said before, it has some what do you call it? Like hot
Stuff.
springs and things like that around it. Stuff. So it's because it's so deep, not many lakes have this, but it does have hydrothermal vents, which you can go into the next photo there. So what happens is that when cold water seeps into cracks in the lake bed, it is then heated up by the magma in the crust and pumped back out through these vents full of minerals. And these deep hydrothermal vents also help to create the high level of oxygen that is found in this lake. It's actually has the highest concentration of lower level oxygen than any other lake in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which means that there's lots of organisms and things that can live down there. And yes, humans have been to the bottom. They went down in a submersible for the first time in 2008. And if you look at the next photo there, I just thought this was pretty funny. Putin himself went down in 2009.
Yeah, Putin in a sub.
He's
But
like,
he's like,
Yeah.
but he's like peeking out.
Peeking out.
What's
yeah.
down
He's
here?
like, why am I here?
Yeah. It was a publicity stunt for sure.
100%. Like him on the horse, shirtless.
Yeah. So the next 3 photos are just some nice visuals of what the lake looks like. So the temperatures
Wow.
here
pretty.
fluctuate throughout the year. They're
These photos
anywhere
are
from
gorgeous.
14 degrees Celsius, so that's 57 Fahrenheit in the summertime, to a freezing minus 19 degrees Celsius, that's minus 2 Fahrenheit in the
So
winter.
it's never swimming weather is what we're saying.
Not exactly. I mean, people do, but like, yeah, it's kind of like us
I
when we
don't
go into
wanna
the ocean
swim
in
in
Nova Scotia.
14 degrees. Well, no, that's not hot enough.
I would have to be
Russians
literally
love their
on
cold
fire.
plunges, so
But I mean,
Yeah.
like, but
As
yeah,
a Canadian, I'm saying no. Has to be.
Yeah,
at
I
least-
think we're
the
like an
people
18 is
are
like minimum.
fishing,
yeah,
though, right?
18's the minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of fishing to do there. But isn't it gorgeous? Like, just look at these
Beautiful.
the icy ones
Oh
at
my gosh,
nighttime.
that's beautiful. The stars.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Even like I'm sure you're gonna talk about the big like chunks of ice. Like that's just cool. Just
Oh
a
yeah,
cool
so
spot.
you're 1 photo ahead. We do get
Okay.
to that one.
I'm just excited.
So in the wintertime, you can see up to 40 meters below, so 130 feet, and the ice is over 1 meter thick. So it's actually strong enough to carry a cement truck across it.
Oh my gosh, you can definitely skate on this.
Yes. So there's lots of icy things to do there. They have these hovercrafts that go across and can take you all over the lake.
That would be cool.
There's places to skate. There's ice fishing, ice caving. There's hikes. There's dog sledding, snowmobiling, and even
Ooh,
ice
dog sledding.
sculpting festivals that happen on this
Oh,
lake.
Oh wow,
That sounds
that's
like
so
fun.
cool.
This
Yeah.
sounds like more like a winter setup?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you really can't
So
swim,
they
then I
said it
mean,
really changed around the time of the pandemic. So it used to be more of like a summer spot for people to kind of go and vacation at. But then, especially just before the pandemic and afterwards, a lot of people, especially locals, were stopping going to other places for their winter time, and they were going here to kind of
oh,
go and see all this, and in their homeland, basically.
I would love to see like an ice sculpture competition. That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next photo that Megan was looking at and talking about is where the ice can crack and collide, and it creates these ice walls, or what they call ice hammocks, which create barriers, sometimes making it impossible to cross by car. Because some people live on one of the islands there, and so they have to kind of cross by car in order to get to certain places.
That
On
And
the
then
is so
obviously,
ice.
like,
that's so
yeah,
crazy.
in the
That's so neat.
summertime or in the wintertime.
No.
And so these can get up to 10 to 12 meters high, and they can expand to 2 meters, the fissures themselves. So about 6.5 feet, and go, 6.5 feet deep. Um,
Wow.
and when these fissures happen, actually the ice can get very thin, and sometimes people's cars have gotten stuck and eventually fall into the water, just to kind of feel like they just get out and they're like, we're not
Oh.
getting this. That's like, that's
Oh my
done.
God. At least they're not in the car. But yeah, I can see how thick the ice is from this
Yeah.
photo. Like it looks.
Yeah.
It's just kind of scary to think about how you say on one side of it a cement truck could safely pass, but
Yeah.
then
But
just
then there's
because
these
of
areas
nature
where,
and how
yeah.
do you know? I guess I don't
So
know,
you
but
can see them. Actually, when I lived in Banff, there's a giant lake there called Lake Minnewanka, and it freezes over, kind of like this, really thick,
okay.
because it gets really cold there, right? Like we're talking -40 some days. And but the sound that it makes when that ice cracks is
Oh,
terrifying.
chilling.
It sounds like a
Oh,
monster.
wow.
I can hear it in my head like
Yeah,
because
you don't even. It
it's
almost
kind of
sounds
the
like,
same.
when you hear like metal wires snapping too, that's
Yeah.
like that coiling
Okay.
sound. It also makes that sound sometimes, like through the ice, and then there's is these giant cracks that sound like Leviathan is trying to break through, basically.
It's just it's cool. It kind of
So
goes back to the
freaky.
whole like
Hmm.
thunderstorm thing. Just it's amazing what nature does on its own.
Yeah, definitely. So this lake is a biodiverse treasure trove,
Your
in
favorite.
it and around it. So there are over 1,000 species of plants and 2,500 species of animals, and 80% of their animals are endemic to the area.
Which means
They're not found anywhere
just
else.
oh,
Oh,
okay. I knew that. I just want to make sure you knew what it
Yeah, yeah,
meant.
of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And 2/3 of the shore is untouched and uninhabited by humans. The areas surrounding the lake, you can find like reindeer, brown bears, lynx, wolverines, moose deer, wolves, and foxes.
God, this
And
sounds
of
so much
course,
like Canada, honestly.
yeah. And of course, a plethora of flora.
Yep.
And the zooplankton in the water is what helps to keep it so clean, which makes up most of the biodiversity in the water itself, is a lot of this like zooplankton, as well as species of an endemic sponge called the Baikal sponge. So you can go to the next photo there. You can see it looks like this underwater forest,
Oh
basically.
wow. Oh, it's so vibrant.
so
Isn't
pretty.
it?
It
It's
is pretty.
beautiful. And that also helps to filter the water. So these sponges themselves have a symbiotic relationship with the algae. They have a calcium skeleton that helps them to filter the water out, and then they kind of like take out all the crap. The crap lives on the outside, and then different organisms come along like amphipods, and they
And
feed off of that algae, and then help to keep that thing clean so they can keep going. And actually, a 2 centimeter squared sponge can filter up to 20 liters of water a day.
that's so cool. It's
Yeah.
like I know
Wow.
that
Yeah.
we shared it in the group chat, but the clams in the fish tank that clean out all the
The oysters, yeah.
oysters, sorry.
Yeah.
Is this like the real color of like this
Yeah.
bright green?
Yeah,
Holy
you
moly.
can
I
find
thought
so
maybe just like
many.
a
No, you find so many videos of it. It's absolutely gorgeous down there. It
The one
literally looks
on
like a forest underwater.
wow.
the one on the left kind of looks like fingers to me.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
hands reaching up. Yeah, I
Like
thought
Yeah.
salad
the same thing.
fingers.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's green. I hate this.
Uh,
I am not going to post this one now.
so this is what helps, yeah, to keep the lake self-cleaning, and it's considered the purest water in the world. You can drink right from the lake safely.
But it tastes so
I
crisp.
can
Yeah.
only
All this
imagine.
filtration going on.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
I would definitely have a cup in like early November. Just imagine how good that would taste.
So crisp
Oh my God,
And
so freaking
cold.
crisp.
and
Oh,
fresh.
can fill
I
my
don't know if
Stanley up.
I mentioned it before, but they're frozen from January until June, basically early June. So it's frozen basically half the year.
So November, it's like just getting to that really
Yeah.
cold. So that's the best time
Yeah.
for
I mean,
crispy
it's
water.
probably
Mhm.
always decently cold
I
if
know.
the
Yeah. Oh,
temperature's only.
I saw this thing. It's one of the things that you can do on the ice is they like dig a hole in the ice and they put a shot in there, and so you sip out the shot and then you eat like a cinnamon heart afterwards.
That is so Russian. I love it. I'm down.
I know. So as mentioned before, the oxygen that's created by those filtration gives can cause gigantism in a lot of the organisms that are found there. For
I don't want to
instance,
see some things gigantic. The ones in the sea are always so creepy, and the bigger they get, the scarier they get.
so like flatworms and amphipods normally reach like amphipods themselves normally reach about 10 millimeters, but they can get to be up to 10 times their size that they would be in other lakes because of all this oxygen rich environment. It just gives them more food, it gives them more everything to be able to just continue growing. Lake
Okay.
Baikal has over 65 species of fish, including a very popular one called omul, and it's a white fish. I think they said it's related to salmon in some way. It's supposed to be very tasty. It's a common thing to kind of get a lot in restaurants and grocery stores and everything like that. But due to commercial overfishing, it has now been banned, and you're only allowed to fish locally. Um, the amphipods and flatworms found at the bottom also feed 6 different types of sculpins that are found in the depths of Lake Baikal, so around like the 1,000-meter mark. So the next photo there is of one from the deep down in the Baikal Lake. You can see it's kind of like, it's got that typical, we live in the dark, we don't really have eyes that work,
Yeah.
we're kind of
Yeah.
clear and see through.
Listen, we don't really have eyes, okay? We don't really have eyes
So
down here.
yeah, we
Don't
don't
judge.
need them. So
He's
sculpins
cute.
are
Cute though.
he is. So sculpins are a type of fish that are found in both salt and freshwater. Do you guys know the stonefish, the poisonous one that like you could step on the spines on the back, you
It
can
kind of sounds familiar, but I'm
yeah.
not like well
Yeah.
So
versed.
they're
Yeah.
a
See it
relative of
for
that.
sure.
They
Oh,
primarily
Okay.
live like underneath rocks and under in the mud and things like that. So, but yeah, there's
same.
six that are endemic to there, and yeah, they grow not too huge, but they feed a lot on these flatworms and these amphipods. So they're nice and fed down there,
I just
basically.
don't like gigantic,
Buffet.
scary things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
a
Like an itty
constant
bitty
buffet.
spider. Aw, but
Yeah.
like
I
a
mean,
giant Australia
no.
spider.
No,
That's
but
so
that's
cute.
we've talked about this before. The giant spiders in Australia, harmless. The itty
They're like
bitty
cats.
spiders in Australia are the poisonous ones that are like, we have enough venom to kill 10 men in one bite.
We did talk about that.
So
The blue ringed
And I know
octopus, and then
spiders.
yeah,
Yeah.
baby spider.
They're doing their
Oh.
thing. They're
they
helping
are.
out.
They are.
Um,
Did you know that I
so
recently saw that when you put a spider outside that is found in the house, that you are killing it because they don't know how to survive outside? They actually can only
They're an
survive
indoor
inside.
spider.
They're an indoor spider.
okay.
I mean, I'm
Now I
kind
feel
of fine if
terrible
those
because of all
guys
the
go extinct.
spiders that I have thought I saved.
Yeah, same. But I mean, when I was a kid, mom always said put them on the plants. So that was also something that I try to do is just put them on the plants because then they just
Yeah, I
eat the
don't
bugs and
like
things on there.
throw the wind, like, put
No,
them
I mean
somewhere
like the
gentle.
plants inside the house. Mom was always like, put them in the
Oh,
plants.
yeah. I
Oh,
just,
smart.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, kind
Anyways,
of
But I
just
also don't
kill
want
them.
bugs in my plants. I know spiders might be fine, but
they'll eat the other
yeah.
bugs if there's other bugs in your plants. So
I have some flowers
okay.
outside, and the
Okay.
aphids
So I
love
need a
them.
pet spider.
Mhm.
So I had some. I
Yes.
had some spiders too. And you get a little tiny leash. You take them for walks.
Is it just spiders or is that all bugs? Because
I don't know. I just saw the one on spiders and I was like, I feel terrible
yeah.
now because like
To
I
be
don't want to
fair,
kill anything.
when I found them in my apartment, sometimes I just
Mhm.
literally put them in the hallway of the apartment.
There you
'Cause,
go. That's fine.
like,
You don't live
you
here,
know.
sir.
That's one thing that
well,
they were like, if you have a shed, put them in the shed. Like they'll be fine in
yeah,
there or a garage.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, also if they're like, high up on the wall, I'm like, you're good. If you're on my desk, then
Those
I'm
are the
like,
ones that
maybe
are
I
gonna
need to put
Mission
you somewhere.
Impossible right into your open mouth.
Yeah, while you're sleeping, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, if I don't know what happened, ignorance is bliss.
It's none of my business.
Yeah. I don't need to know how many bugs I've eaten during my life.
On average, it's like 7 or something.
Don't think about it.
That's
That was
yeah.
more than 7.
Listen, when I bike, I get a lot of bugs in my mouth, okay? It's awful.
You should probably bike with your mouth closed.
I know. I think about that all the I'm like, why is my mouth constantly open while I'm biking? That I'm like getting all
Just a suggestion.
just a giant fly trap just gaping in the wind.
You just like close your mouth, you know?
Yeah.
You ever think about that?
Problem solved. We're offering free advice here on this podcast.
How not to eat bugs. This is your podcast that teaches you how to not accidentally eat bugs.
Keep that trap closed.
Okay. So the next cute little cutie that is in Lake Baikal is what is called the Nerpa seal or the Baikal seal. And this is an endemic seal to Lake Baikal. Now, it is the only seal that is exclusively found in fresh water.
Oh.
Other freshwater seals have ancestors that either got cut off eventually from the saltwater somehow, and that's how they ended up in the freshwater, or they're there temporarily while like levels change or temperature changes are occurring, or they kind of cross in between the fresh and the saltwater as they please. But this is the only seal that is only found in freshwater. They do not have family anywhere else.
This seal has like Puss in Boots eyes.
Yeah,
I was gonna say when I was trying to find a good photo, I was like, these seals just remind me of Samus with their tiny head and their big bodies.
It's the smallest head of an animal that I've ever seen with the biggest eyes. It's like, and you'd think that'd be scary because it's all black. I can't see any iris, but it is actually the cutest thing in the world.
I just want to hug it.
I would kill for the seal.
Yeah,
I would do anything for the seal.
But if you go to the next photo, did you know that their teeth look like that?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's like art.
Oh, my God.
It's like little tiny corals or something in the back teeth.
Yeah.
Not all seals look like that, but like this is what theirs look like.
Most seals have like normal looking teeth.
And apparently it's kind of helps them like to crush down crustaceans and things like that when they're eating them. But anyway,
imagine flossing though.
I know.
Flossing's a nightmare. Oh, to be fair, there's enough space between.
There's enough space, but it's getting into each one of those little grooves.
Each of the little grooves of each tooth.
For those that are listening, it kind of looks like almost like you know how you can get indigenous art and it's like carved stone. So it kind of looks like
that's what I was
piece
thinking.
of stone,
it can remind me of art.
That's been carved with little barbs. It looks like there's one on one side and 2 on the other. It literally looks like it's hand carved.
Yeah,
but it is inside the seal's mouth, and the front like 4, 5, 6 teeth are
normal,
like standard canine looking teeth.
Yeah,
and these are just they're so creative looking.
Yeah, it's almost like you got your teeth done like that.
Yeah. Wow,
I just wanted to look different. But anyways, that's what their teeth look like. I just thought it really has nothing to do with this. I have nothing more to say. I just thought they were cool.
But something like this, I can see that being good for meat. But you said that they don't eat a lot of, like it's more like shelled.
Well, apparently it's for crushing shells. Yeah.
Just
because like the ones would be more so for like the meat.
The serrated, it's like like a serrated knife. So I would think for meat. I don't know. Oh, it's cool. Not really related, but very cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So another really cool thing about this lake. It's integral to learning about space.
I'm listening.
How, you may ask?
How? Tell us.
Tell me more. There is a telescope called the Baikal GVD, which is a deep underwater telescope that has an electronic eye that is fixed on the stars. So you can go to the next photo there, and these are kind of like schematics of what it looks like. So this specific type of telescope requires exceptionally clear water and ice to kind of keep it covered. It needs to be in this covered zone when it's underwater to help it study neutrinos. What are neutrinos?
What are neutrinos?
Neutrinos are particles that travel faster than the speed of light and are emitted by cosmic events such as supernovas and solar eruptions. They have no electrical charge and they interact weakly with the forces around them, so it makes them nearly impossible to detect and study. But it's Okay, so these neutrinos are nearly massless and they're able to pass through the Earth after these events happen. But when they reach the Earth slows them down. So they're not traveling as fast. Not stopped, but they're just traveling slower, which makes
Okay.
you able to observe them with specialized technology. So the neutrinos give off a particular light when they pass through a clear medium, so the water. And the spheres on this telescope that you can see there contain something called a photomultiplier tubes, and they are actually able to detect this light. So they sit at about a kilometer deep in Lake Baikal and can really change what we know about the universe by gathering this information. There's only a few places on Earth that this can happen, that they can actually put this in, because like I said, it needs the ice to contain it on top, and it needs the super clear medium, the water, to be able to actually pick up these neutrinos.
This
So,
this sounds like so
Wow.
many things have to be exactly right for this to work.
yeah, so I think it was the Arctic or the Antarctic that also has one that's like twice as big as this one. So this one's a
My
kilometer
my guess
long.
would say actually
That's
maybe
huge.
maybe the
Yeah.
Arctic. It's a little easier to get to the Arctic versus the Antarctic, but
Yeah, I don't
holy,
know.
this is like so far beyond anything that I can comprehend easily.
Yeah, which is another reason why they like have to go across on this lake a lot, right? And they're big trucks and everything, because they're
Cement
putting these out
trucks
like
and
way
such.
in the way in the middle
Yeah.
to get to the really deep points and all of that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah,
um, but
freaking cool.
Lake Baikal is also under threat because of
Humans.
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 Yeah.
It's always us. We are the
It's
villains.
I
always
know.
humans. Um, so the lake contains 27 islands, but only one is inhabited. And that is
Hold
called
on.
the
There is an island in the lake. And
yeah,
people live on that island.
yeah,
This is so much bigger than
Well,
I thought.
yeah, some people drive across it, right, to get
I
to
just
the.
yeah.
figured that was them just being like,
So if
"Hey,
you
I'm just gonna drive across this
Well,
lake."
no, so if you go to that close up there, you can see if you go to the close up map again, you can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
there's
hold
a
on.
little island there and it says Olcon Lake. It's on the
Oh, you know
top.
what? I thought that was attached. I
No,
can
so
see
it's
now that it is
not.
separate.
Yeah. So it's the third
All
largest
right. Yeah.
lake-bound island in the world.
Wow.
And
My God.
people have been living there for years. Well, hundreds of years. Um
Really?
yeah.
This is interesting.
Do you know what the population is? I'm
Oh, I
10.
didn't look
small.
that up. We got 35.
10-ish. Yeah.
No, I didn't look that up actually. That would have been a good thing to know, but I don't. So here we go.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, in my
We can
case, I
flash it on
have
the screen for any
there we
YouTubers.
go. Yeah.
yes, the population of that island in Russia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, so like we have seen in many areas, kind of once social media gets a hold of something, it becomes popular travels. And like I said before the pandemic, this area was really picking up traction, especially for the winter time. There was overfishing that has occurred, but that's not the only stressor that the lake has endured, unfortunately. Areas close to the shoreline have seen a lot of construction, which means that there's a lot of runoff. So, a lot of the work there has been illegal or done through greased palms, because they're trying to build places for people to be able to come and stay, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. In 2017, Putin said that the pollution and excessive development is a major problem, but then it was just kind of crickets for a long time after that.
It's the
Those that,
same here. It's like this is a huge problem, and they
yeah.
just kind of
And
don't do
we'll
anything.
just do nothing.
Mhm.
So those that live on the Olkan Island feel that Moscow is putting its needs before those of the people that live there. Obviously, they like this area. It's a touristy area. It brings in money. So not just for the Olkan area, but it brings in money for Russia. So that's why
Yeah.
they're kind of like, you're doing this for you. You're not doing this for us. You're not thinking about us and those that have grown up here and lived here forever. There don't seem to be clear rules about what is legal and what's illegal, where they can build, where they can't build on the island. Much of the land that was designated as a national park in 1986, even though that happened, one former mayor, who later spent 3 years in jail, sold off parts of the waterfront property somehow.
Can you imagine that happening here? Well,
No.
I guess
I
like
I mean,
when people first settled, there was like
Well, I mean,
yoink, but
yeah.
well, corrupt things happen all the time, so
Yeah.
oh,
Even Banff is a national park, but they were allowed to build a certain amount of it's the only national park you're allowed to live in Canada.
It just
actually.
seems like Banff is such a huge area. This is a little island, so I'm like,
Mhm.
none of this should be like, I would say like grandfather them in. If you're already there, you're there.
Yeah. Yeah, so natives to the area have been fighting for generations to keep the water clean and safe. They even in 2013 got a pulp mill stopped because of the amount of environmental footprint that they were causing and pollution to the water.
Damn, good for them.
Yeah, the local community is also fighting to be allowed to deem what is accessible and appropriate to build and what isn't, because they fear that one day, basically, some big hotel is going to come in and they're only going to think about their interests and not
Yeah,
actually the interests of the lake or the people that live there once again.
that is a very real
Um,
fear. Like I totally agree with them because I
Yeah.
mean
yeah,
it happens all the time, and then you'll have like, okay, first of all, Niagara Falls, it's ruined now.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I'm not sure about the state side as much, but the Canadian side is like a little mini Vegas. And I imagine, like I said to Damien all the time, I would want to go there more if it was just like a pure national park and there were like some public bathrooms, a coffee cart, and maybe you could like hike in to see it. Like the natural
Yeah, you can
beauty
have
is
a
what you
couple
want.
restaurants, people need to eat, but I've actually never been to Niagara, so I've
I
not
have.
seen
It's
it,
nice. I
but
like
Cool.
Niagara on the Lake a lot.
Oh, that's different. That's
Hmm.
stunning. That's like a little old historical town. But like, these beautiful, so obviously, it's not a waterfall, but it's the same idea. Beautiful lake, beautiful location. And then you want to go there, but by prioritizing that side of it, then you ruin what you're there to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even that's where, where Claire and I used to go camping all the time. Lake Johnson is near what's called the Grotto. The Grotto became very
I've heard of
Instagram
this.
famous at one point because it's
Over
on
COVID,
Lake,
I think.
yeah, it's
Um,
on Lake Huron and it's like crystal clear water, like crystal clear. It's amazing. It's freezing
yeah.
cold to swim in and I love it, but it's so clear, so beautiful.
Okay.
The water feels amazing too. Like it's so nice. But each year that we went, we started bringing bags with us because there's so much trash that people left around the
I
Wow,
area.
hate,
it's really
It's
oh
so
my
sad.
God.
dirty.
It's so
And this
easy to
is
pick
a
up
national
after yourself.
park. This is something you have to go on the government website and book your camping site on, for the Lake Johnson, which is like maybe a 20-minute hike from the grotto itself. I remember one year we were there, it happened to be raining that weekend. And we were going to go up to the grotto. We decided to wait for the rain to pass. And I guess what
Okay.
had happened was that a bunch of people were at the grotto and they just like dipped. I mean, we literally found towels, clothes, shoes,
What
like
the
just
hell?
left and like
So
spread
weird.
around and garbage.
You
And
think
like
they
it's
would at
just,
least come back after, like, the rain dies
it's
down,
just,
but
it's so
Well, it's
sad to see this
rain.
happen.
It's rain. You're not under
mm,
attack. Like just
I
grab your
know.
stuff
yeah.
and
I
leave. Oh my
know.
Yeah,
gosh.
It's just,
Humans ruin everything.
they really
we
sometimes
sucked.
do. Yeah. So, anyways, I can definitely see how, especially if this is an area that you grew up in, that you're close with, that like means a lot to you, has been in your family for generations type things. Like, yeah, of course you'd be really worried about what's going to happen to it. Um, in 2017, a couple had bought a house, which is a famous house called the Pink House. That's the next photo there.
Is it
Um,
pink?
yeah, it is. So they
Surprise,
moved from
surprise.
Moscow to Olkin Island with the intention of making a very small Airbnb, like, just a few people being able to live there. They got all the permits they were supposed to, they got everything above board to be able to do this. But not long after the build, they were told by authorities to forfeit their land and tear down the house.
Huh?
Yeah. They were in a long legal battle that, to my understanding, is still going on. And the husband died of a heart attack at the age of 46 in 2019, which his
Oh
wife
my
is
god.
certain was due to the stress of
A
all of
hundred
this that was
percent.
going on.
Wow, that is so
Um,
sad.
so the
Yeah,
wife,
and
Elena, now still lives there. She's alone and she's helped by family because they have no means of making money now. She was stripped of everything because
they
it's
invest
just
all
like
this money into the property.
yeah. And it's just like the government can't seem to make up their mind of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And it seems like the rules are very murky and it just depends who has the money to grease the right palms to be able to get what they want. Um,
That's so
but due to
sad.
this increase in tourism and Olkin Island does not have proper sewage infrastructure.
I was wondering if you're going to get to that because it's an island, so
Yeah,
those
this
things
has
are
become
different.
a serious issue. The sewage is supposed to be taken off daily, but some of the locals say that this rarely happens and it's sometimes being drained directly into the lake.
Okay. What?
Yeah. In September 2020, 270 water samples were taken from 32 shorelines along the island, and they had unacceptably high levels of toxic algae in it. And the algae was suffocating the shoreline sponges and in some areas covering the beach.
That's disgusting.
And then the sponges can't do their thing to
And they
They
want
can't
to eat the
filter the
poop, but they
water.
can't.
filter the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's gross.
not everyone there believes that there is no hope and that there shouldn't be like no tourism. There are people who have lived there for years who have their own type of like, bed and breakfast things set up. And they believe that if they just keep the numbers down properly and they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing with the sewage, that they will be able to bring in money to the area because that area actually saw a lot of people leave and lost a lot of money because in the 90s, a local fish plant was closed, losing hundreds of
Um,
jobs for the locals there.
this is like a classic
So,
small town story. I thought about it
yeah,
too when the paper mill got shut down. It's like it's good, but it's not because then
yeah.
Yeah.
all those jobs are now gone.
So it's they believe that if it's closely monitored, that they'll be able to still bring in money to the area as well as protect it if they're just like everyone's doing their part in doing what they're supposed to be doing type thing. But a lot of the issue was that they were like having these um cabins built and then they were like wait, that's too many, like get rid of these cabins, but that's also causing its own pollution. You have them coming in and building these things and you have them coming in and tearing them down,
Yeah.
so it's like just this unending
And and
issue.
and you can't just build a house and not ask permission on the land. Like I find that
See, but that's the thing
crazy.
is that it's very murky about who's getting the permission. Who are they getting the permission from? Are these people that are giving them permission even allowed to give them permission? Are they
Yes,
just
there's
paying
no
for the
fair.
permission?
Sounds like there's not a fair system in place to
Yes.
determine that. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, well, if we say yes, sure, but
Yeah.
we're not going to give you the real criteria.
Exactly. Or you're going to start it and you're going to sink all this money into it and then we're going to tell you no.
Or you're going to give me the bribe, and I'm going to say, "Don't worry, it's all fine," but I actually do
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Because I assume when they say, oh, they told them to tear down the pink house, they weren't going to pay them for
No.
all that money
The
they
land or
spent.
the property. No.
Exactly.
Probably not
Which
either,
is why they've been in all
right?
these legal battles, right? Because they're probably like, well, at the very least, I need
Give me
money.
the
You guys told me
money.
this was okay.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
like they bought the property, right? So
exactly. They had the deed, they had the everything kind of in
yeah,
place of being allowed to do this. And then suddenly they're just like, no, you can't.
And her
So,
husband's dead now over this.
yeah.
That's just like
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
However, in April of 2024, Putin banned the discharge of untreated sewage into the lake. He
Good.
has also instructed that there be 6.5 billion US dollars allocated to the ecology project that will be responsible for shutting down 50 polluting facilities between 2025 and 2030.
That's a lot.
okay.
That's a lot of facilities that are
I don't
polluting this
really.
area.
Okay, so I get the idea. Number one, that's a lot of money. Shutting down sites, but like, are they going to set them up somewhere else? Like, what are the
I
sites? Are
know
the
that. Well,
sites
that's what the
integral?
money's going to go to, right? Is figuring this
Okay.
out where it has to go. Because the issue is that you have this area that has 23% of the world's fresh water. You
Got
can't
protected.
exactly, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be protected, and it's a national heritage site. It's like all of these things are
Yeah.
supposed to be being done, and it's being polluted.
And
Yeah.
but projects should have SMART goals, like specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time based. And I heard like, here's the budget, and we're gonna shut them down. It's like,
But they're giving them
what is
5 years, so I think that's what they're trying to figure out. They're like, here, allocate this money to this, figure this out. Here are the places that are causing the issues.
it just
We need to
seems
figure
so
this
like,
out.
yeah. Well, I mean, and then that your whole the story today is not about that specifically. I'm just like, I hope that there's a plan, like, because that just sounds so
Yeah.
shut them down.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's just been so mismanaged, I think, from the get go that
Mm.
now they're trying to backtrack and they don't really know what they're doing, it sounds like. So
They're just
Yeah.
trying to throw money
Well,
at it and hope that someone
hopefully-
figures it out.
Hopefully they got the right team on board now. So
Okay.
we'll
If you
see
can
in the
say
next
anything-
5 years what happens.
Can say anything about Russia is that they're honest, trustworthy, and open about what's happening.
Which
So,
has clearly been how they gotten to this point.
yeah.
Okay, so now here is some stories about the background of this.
Really?
Okay.
So, In 1891, Russia began building one of the longest railroads in the world, and it cost around 2.5 billion rubles at the time. With inflation, that would be about 52.6 billion US dollars now.
Oh my God.
And this is, you've probably heard of it, the Trans-Siberian Railway.
I have heard about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what Snowpiercer is based off of?
Maybe. I think, it's something like that. Yeah. Anyways.
So
Yeah.
just cold Siberia.
Mhm. So around 100,000 people worked on building this railroad, and most were convicted felons.
Oh,
For
this sounds
years,
like a classic Russia move.
yeah. For
Yep.
years, they put off
Don't
building
work.
around Lake Baikal as it was difficult to get to because of obviously the surrounding mountains, the ice, the everything. So, for the most part, ice-breaking ferries were used to get across the lakes with goods and people and whatever they needed to get to these different areas. But in 1904, when a war broke out between Russia and Japan, it became critical to finish this railroad. In 1905, the ice was too thick for the ferries to get across, so they decided to build a railroad on the ice.
That seems short-sighted.
But yeah, it seems like it's good for part of the year. And then what do you do?
So you can go to the next photo there.
Logs float. Therefore,
It's
they
a-
just float on
It's
the water. They stay in
a little
place.
artist rendition of what was happening there. But I think you guys know where this is going. Massive
Not well.
cracks would occur in the ice, and locomotives would often plunder into the water, taking down people and the goods. And what was believed to be some of that Tsar's missing gold was in those locomotives.
Oh, okay. Wait,
One
how many trees did they lose before they're like, this is not a good
Hey,
idea?
maybe we should
I don't think it
stop.
was-
Like the train ahead's like, okay, that one just went in. So
I don't think it was that many that they lost. Japan apparently had a lot of these like propaganda posters up everywhere of being like stupid Russians letting their like trains go into the water.
Great, that's funny.
but the track
Yeah.
would be broken, so presumably you'd have to then wait and rebuild the track.
Yeah, so they were
and wait
kind of
for
like
the
makeshift
ice to
ones. They weren't obviously
refreeze.
like amazing ones. They were these little makeshift ones that they were putting across. But anyways, people died. One fissure in the ice was 16 miles long that occurred. No
Just
records
go
were
the way,
kept
walk
of the lives
around.
lost. Yeah.
Oh
No
my
records were
God.
kept of the lives lost, so the gravity of this tragedy is mostly
Like they tried to-
unknown,
Bury it or something.
though. Yeah, in a very deep lake.
Yes.
In 1920, near the end of the Civil War in Russia, 30,000 soldiers retreated across Siberia with their family and possessions, including once again what they believed to be some of the Tsar's gold, and were being chased by the opposing soldiers. This was known as the Great Siberian Ice March. They decided to try and get to safety by crossing the lake out of desperation, but the freezing Arctic winds caused many of them to freeze to death on the ice. In the spring,
Wow.
the thaw saw the bodies and their belongings taken by the lake into their watery grave. Capel, who was the leader of the army at the time, succumbed to pneumonia and frostbite after getting to safety.
That
So,
pneumonia, man.
He
It took
made the
out
crossing.
Yeah.
our captain last week too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was young as
sad.
well. He was in his 40s, I think.
That's such a scary visual. Like people
Yeah.
just trying to make it across ice
Yeah.
and then they just die in place and then they're there
And
until
it wasn't
ice
just the
melts.
soldiers, it was their families, it
I
was
know.
everything, right? So it was really sad.
Oh.
Yeah.
There have also been countless stories for years of aliens, water gods, and water monsters in Lake Baikal.
I was gonna say ghosts make the most sense. There's so many people that died, but
Mhm.
I'm cool with aliens and water
Yeah.
monsters too.
So due to the increase in oxygen in the water, it is thought that there may be monsters. The bigger the prey, the bigger the predator normally. Either
Bigger the alien.
prehistoric or
Makes sense.
fish that have grown to larger than normal sizes and are wreaking havoc on Lake Baikal and the surrounding residents. It is said the cattle have been scooped from the lakefront by unknown species. Fishermen have had
no.
holes and damage to their fishing nets that seem virtually unexplainable. And it's also believed that they may prey on hunters and travelers who stray too close to the edge of the water. It is believed that these creatures may use underwater tunnels to travel between the lake and the other surrounding bodies of water.
Nope, hate that.
Called Lutsun Khan or Unsun Lobsen Khan, which roughly translates to water dragon monster. And
What are
has
all
been
the
a
scary
part-
words we could think of?
And they've been a part of folklore since the ancient times there. One of the more compelling stories, though, is an apparent classified operation that occurred between the Soviet army and what they classified the Lake Baikal swimmers. Apparently, Lake Baikal is commonly used to train the army dive teams, and on this one fateful day in 1982, training divers had been down there earlier and swore up and down that they saw three men in shiny silver suits that suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They had nothing on them to help them breathe underwater. Their suits were reflective, and they had some sort of like helmet that they were wearing that was completely open to the water, though. So the next photo there is an artist's rendition of it. You can see that their helmet kind of almost looks like
Do
a
you
clear umbrella.
remember those little umbrella hats?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
Didn't
what that
Joshua
looked
Ford
like.
have one? I feel like he did
Probably.
for some
I don't know.
reason.
I never had one, but they
Um,
were hilarious.
so these look like the alien from District 9 a little bit,
Oh.
but with a giant clear jellyfish cap
With
Mhm.
the
covering their
prehistoric
head.
fish in the background too, just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. I didn't even notice him. A plesiosaurus or a leopleurodon.
A Leupleurodon.
Magical leopleurodon.
So they said that they were about 3 meters, almost 10 feet in height. And when the divers came back
That's
up, they were
Oh, that's huge.
visibly shaken, and they were told that they would need to go back down and try and capture one of these swimmers. When they went back
down there and
down,
grab one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no thanks.
when they went back down, they waited and tried to attract the swimmers back with their lights. They came back towards them freely and without much caution. And when one of the divers went towards the swimmer with a metal rope to capture them, the swimmer produced a small metallic device and pointed it towards the divers. A violent swirl of water occurred and pushed the men to the top in a powerful current. Because of this quick ascent, the divers were suffering from the bends, and unfortunately, only 4 of the 7 decompression chambers were working that day, causing 3 of the men to lay on the lakeside and die a painful and agonizing death.
Oh, wow.
Russia, short your shit out. Oh my God.
But these are not the only stories from Lake Baikal of UFOs and USOs. There's also unidentified submerged objects. A diver instructor named Oleg Shikulin told a reporter that he was out on the lake one day with his students in the evening and they saw a strange glowing ball in the sky. It faded before turning red and coming towards the boat along the water's surface. As it got closer, it suddenly submerged into the water. The water had an eerie red glow around the boat before it shot back out of the water into the night sky. There are tons of these stories. And apparently this isn't the only large lake. Lake Superior has a lot of these. Lake Michigan has a lot of these types of stories of like aliens and glowing balls and things going in and out of the water. So
I've heard
I
the
think,
glowing ball thing
yeah,
before.
we should
Yeah,
definitely
like
cover that
Michigan
someday.
definitely has a lot of alien stories. I was watching
Mhm.
some documentary recently.
Yeah. So apparently this isn't completely uncommon. And when you have a lake this big,
They like lakes.
yeah. Locals also claim that whirlpools will randomly and inexplicitly appear in the lake and pull down boats into the depths.
Okay, so
Obviously,
then,
this hasn't been proven, but like,
Yeah.
I'm like, where are the boats?
But these are just a few of the many creepy stories and sightings surrounding Lake Baikal, and with a lake that deep, maybe we'll never know all of its secrets.
Ugh.
And that's what I
Good
got for you
last
today,
line.
ladies.
Cool.
It was a shorter one, but yeah, lake. Well, for us, I guess.
I
Yeah.
did not see it taking like an alien route at all.
I had no
Yeah.
idea where you were going to go with this. I'm like, did someone get murdered in
Yeah.
the lake? I wasn't
This
expecting
Well,
aliens.
People
probably
definitely died.
Probably. I mean, people died on the
Uh,
lake, so
Yeah,
know
my
that.
God.
who knows the real reason how. But yeah, it
Ugh.
was honestly, this lake is fascinating. I never knew how deep it was and the sediment, and like obviously when I saw the photos, especially that night sky one, like oh my
Oh
god, I
yeah.
want to go there so badly.
I'm gonna be posting all of these, obviously. That could be a
I want to
computer
see
background
more
today.
pictures of this
it's
lake.
it's
Mhm.
gorgeous. But yeah, it was just it's fascinating, the organisms, the how many species are in and around there, and
There's
the
a lot
minerals in
going
the
on in that
water,
lake.
you know, because you get a lot of good minerals from these underwater vents and things like that too that go into it. So it's just a very rich lake
Diverse.
and rich and diverse lake. Yes. So it's
And I just hate that
It's
humans always
fascinating.
have to come in and fuck it up.
of course.
Yeah, I'm glad they're trying to stop the humans, us.
Yeah.
But
Like,
yeah,
like when it's our time, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Fine.
But
Holy crap,
yeah,
man.
that's it.
I would
Maybe
love to
someday
like
we'll
hike around
find
this
more of the
lake.
stories. Oh my God, I know, right? Or go
It's so
camping around
beautiful.
there.
We are gonna stay in the pink house, and we're gonna make that lady breakfast and take care of
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go on
Yes.
hikes together, and we're gonna find aliens. And the aliens are
And
like,
the baby
"Oh, we have to
seals.
baby seals,"
I
and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we
know.
discovered renewable energy, and you can shut down power plants." And then world peace comes next
I
naturally.
guess they're also, I saw this thing that they're worried that like eventually they might try to dig for oil in and or around there,
Oh my
things like that
God.
too. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that especially the locals are really worried about, and they just want to make sure that it's going to stay pristine and how it is, because even
For
just the
sure.
wildlife that's around there as well, right? Like it's
They want to protect it, and
exactly, it's so important to have all of that there. And there's a lot of scientists who live in or around the areas too. Sometimes they'll be on some of the other islands that aren't technically inhabited, but they'll basically be the only people there. They have like a house to kind of, I saw this husband and wife one, and it's like she studies the water and he studies all the land around it.
That's so
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Dream
So,
team.
right?
Yeah.
So it's they're constantly doing studies to try and understand how things are changing, especially how things have happened with all of the humans interactions. So they're keeping a close
Literal
eye on it.
shit in the water,
Yeah,
like
literal
just
shit.
dumping it in.
That's why they're like, you
Um,
can drink from it. And I'm like, after reading this, I don't know if I will.
yeah, I was all gung ho. Now I'm a little bit
Yeah.
skeptical. When you guys were talking about like the different like red balls and people have seen things in the water, and there's someone who commented on one of our posts like way when we first started. I forget, it's a friend of one of yours. I forget who it is, and they were somewhere maybe in New Brunswick or PEI or something, and had a very similar like alien kind of experience, saw something similar. I'm gonna find that story, but I
There
remember
was a big
thinking
one
like,
in Nova Scotia I came across because of
don't know
this.
if it was Nova Scotia. It could be. But essentially I was like, this could be our first like listener story. I just have to go back and find it. But
Yeah.
yeah, we mentioned the red ball thing. Like I've heard that before, like different people's
Mhm.
experiences.
Yeah, so it's interesting that we could probably do a whole episode just on alien lake experiences or even ocean. I remember watching something on aliens once before, and it was people talking about like foam in the water and the glowing underneath their boat and like all of this
Yeah.
stuff of
That's
like,
scary.
yeah.
I
So I
mean,
mean,
yeah, we could. There's so many stories we can definitely. Maybe we can do a combo episode where we all tell one.
That'd be
Be fun.
oh,
good.
that would be cool. It would have to be like under an hour and a half. We have to be timing it out. Not
Yeah,
everyone
just
gets a
shorter
full hour and
I
a
mean,
half.
stories.
some of these stories are short. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
I
we could
love that
probably
Yeah.
idea.
do that.
So
And
I'm
then-
gonna try to find that original story, and I'll see who the friend is. It's one of you guys, so I think that you know this person.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna guess
wow, okay.
Lindsay. I don't really have. You guys are my friends, so
Yeah.
know what?
I mean, I'll take a look at my. I
could be.
feel like if one of my friends commented, I missed it. I feel bad, so I'll have
It
to.
was a
take a look.
DM. Pretty sure.
Oh. Yeah. Sometimes my friends do have DM'd you. I saw, but I'm like,
I
we'll
mean, it's not
figure
even
out
just
that it's not
me.
me.
Like it's me. It's like me 75%. And Lindsay is a lurker. She's there, but
I don't even do anything.
I don't
on
even.
there.
I don't message respond to any private like any DMs. But
oh, so then it
sometimes
is me. It's me.
it's just you. Sometimes if I accidentally go on Coast Files, it's because I'll see a message from you and I accidentally click it and I'm like, I think I'm
I do that too.
online and I'm not.
I do that too.
Or when I post that one post a week, sometimes I forget that haven't switched back. So then
This is why I love that I am
social
not
media, you guys.
involved in the social media. So
You do a lot behind the scenes. Like,
yeah,
you know, this
to me,
this
you
is
and
all
Megan
I make
are
the
the big,
things.
yeah, because you
Oh
make all the
God, can you-
reels and
Sorry,
is a team
something
effort.
just started playing
Yeah.
in the background. So I just freaked me
Oh.
out.
You know what? You're out of the podcast. You're done. Enough.
your shenanigans have gotten out of
Too many
control.
shenanigans.
Oh God.
Focus.
Okay, focusing. I'm
Okay.
focusing.
Well, listen, that was cool, and I
Yeah,
mean,
thank you for enlightening
people
me.
are not going to hear this now until August, but
I know.
if everyone's into aliens, because we kind of, again, we mentioned this every time we mention this, we position this podcast to cover anything we want, but we want to have a different perspective where it's more ocean based and like, lake, water, whatever. But if people are into alien stuff, it can be, ocean slash alien, or it could just be
Lakes are
alien,
water and coast
water
files.
based,
I
water based
mean,
aliens.
X-Files helped inspire our name, so we can definitely cover aliens. So
Yeah.
Because I
Is it
find
still
aliens
considered
cool.
a
So
coast if you're on the lake? Or does a coast have
it's
to
still
be
a
what does coast
shore
mean?
I
versus
think
shore.
it is the next to the ocean. I think technically is probably the
Because I think
definition.
coast is ocean,
I think when we look,
shore.
then
Well,
we
the
Coast is
shore
an
is
area
also
of land
ocean.
that is next to the sea. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys
Ah.
that sometimes the locals refer to this lake as a sea because it is so large. They call it like the Baikal Sea.
So
There you go.
really, you're fine,
So
Chantel.
I'm
You're
fine.
good
The
now.
definition.
I did it.
You're
I
good.
did it.
Yeah.
Ah, whew.
No.
Well,
Great job,
okay, then.
Chantel.
Yeah,
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you.
I love that the hidden alien connection. I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
So that was a really fun
She
surprise.
got to do
Little
aliens. She
twist.
got to do animals.
I got
sea
to do
life,
dead
which we know
bodies.
she loves.
Your favorite.
Yeah, dead bodies are my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think before you drink when you go to this lake.
Like, yeah.
But other than that,
maybe have a little tester kit
super
for
cool
E.
story.
coli.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Or just don't drink it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
bring your own water.
Yeah, there we go.
Boil your water, everyone.
There we go. Just put a sponge
Okay.
right in there. It'll just do it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
that was great.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
I love you guys. I'll see you on Friday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, see you in person.
So excited.
Okay, bye.
Bye, listeners.
Bye. Thank you for listening today. We loved having you. If you liked the episode, share with your friends, family, or anyone who would enjoy it. Also, take a minute to review the Coast Files podcast on Apple Podcasts or YouTube. Leaving us a comment or like really helps. You can email us at coastfilespod@gmail.com, follow us on Instagram at coastfilespod, or visit our website at www.coastfiles.com. You can find the sources for today's episode on our website. See you next week with a new episode.